next sector. Well, developing overnight, Danish police have shot and killed a man they believe carried out terror attacks at a free speech event and a synagogue in Copenhagen. The free speech seminar hosted by Swedish artist Lars Vilks. He's been the target of numerous threat lists after caricaturing the Prophet Mohammed. Why is it important to not give in to Islamic extremists threatening free speech? Here to weigh in is two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Michael Ramirez. He's a senior editor and editorial columnist for Investors Business Daily. Michael, nice to see you this morning.
Great to be on with you, Clayton.
We had on earlier on the show Heli Mertie-Brick. She's a founder of the Lars Vilks Committee, and she says she's not cowed by these latest terrorist attacks. She knows that she's out there publicly, and it's so important to fight for free speech. She won't be intimidated. Do you carry that same sentiment as a fighter of free speech?
Absolutely. You know, first, our hearts and prayers go out to the victims of this latest tragedy. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's really not about cartoons. It's about freedom and liberty, the freedom of speech, the universal human right of the freedom of expression. And really, the focus should be not on these cartoons or the cartoonists, but on those who co-opt and subvert their religion, impose their beliefs, and limit freedoms. You know, civilized societies and Western civilizations have to defend civilized society and the freedoms that are encompassed in that belief.
Right, because you're not a fan of these cartoons necessarily. You have said yourself that you wouldn't draw these types of cartoons, but that's not the point, right?
Right, absolutely. You know, there's a point to editorial cartooning. It's really an instrument of journalism. And frankly, you don't want to do controversial cartoons just for the sake of controversy, because it overshadows the message, the point of doing the political cartoon. And you know, everybody resurrects that old saying that Voltaire supposedly said, but it was actually Evelyn Beatrice, I think he said it, Beatrice Hall, who said that, you know, I don't agree with your beliefs, but I'll defend your right to say it. I think that's the important point in all this circumstance. These people are trying to limit the freedom of expression so that people don't expose really the barbarism that's behind these terrible actions.
And the fight for free speech around the world, the United States, really the only place that has it. Of course, people locked up in prison for writing things that governments disagree with. Did you find, I was struck by the hypocrisy of arm-in-arm leaders during the Paris free speech marches, when many of them have locked up people, imprisoned them for beliefs that stand against their governments, and yet standing there arm-in-arm, walking down the streets of Paris. Were you struck by that?
Absolutely. In fact, you know, the scourge of terrorism is a real threat to the entire world, and it's something that the civilized nations, civilized societies should be unified in fighting against. Look, the fundamental right of freedom of expression is necessary as a component in self-governance in a free society. And these leaders should be doing more than just making marches. They ought to be fighting this scourge as much as they possibly can and allowing this exchange of ideas, this free communication of ideas, because it's a necessary component in a free society.
Do you think that we'll see United States newspapers showing and placing in context the cartoons that Lars Vilks has written over the years and drawn, comparing the Prophet Muhammad to a dog or putting his body on a dog? Do you think that the American press will stand up and show those cartoons?
You know, I would hope so at some point, but I doubt it. There's a political correctness movement that's really taken journalism by storm. And that's unfortunate, but I can understand why they wouldn't want to just have a controversial element just for the sake of controversy. But they should all stand together and defend this very precious right of freedom of communication and speech.
Well said, Michael Ramirez. We appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thanks for having me on.